Let's talk about immigration for a second, because immigration, the kind of massive demographic impact immigration has, is truly the biggest thing a government can do. Let's just be honest. That's the biggest thing. When not in war. In war, the government's got a lot of other things to do. But when not in war, the level of immigration is probably going to have the biggest effect on the well-being of your economy, your country. It's going to be the most noticeable, biggest thing that a government can control. And let's face it, the 3 million people coming in, maybe a little more than 3 million coming in over the course of 3 years, was just the biggest policy failure in the history of government, maybe for the history of Canada. It was just so completely crazy, ridiculous, difficult, problematic, and we're still feeling the effects because it's crazy. It's crazy to increase your population 10% in 3 years. It's nuts. It's just unmanageable. Now, we won't go over all the different impacts of the students and the temporary workers and all the mistakes that were made there and all the evil doings and the rip-offs of the students and how in the world provincial governments could not realize that when enrollment in a community college goes from 60,000 to 600,000 that something might be happening, right? I mean, there's so many different levels of government to blame, but it just was a hellacious problem and a big, massive mistake because it affected everybody. It affected the people who came here. It affected the newcomers because many of them were just being abjectly ripped off. The students with the 2-year crap diplomas from the evil community colleges were just being completely ripped off, totally abused. And now, unfortunately, almost all of them will have to go home. We've got the evils of the temporary workers, where these workers were being ripped off by evildoers in the home country who promised them things that never could happen, then gave them, then ripped them off, and the employers ripped them off. They took money from them to get this on the hope of becoming a permanent resident, and then they would just rip them off for cash up front, rip them off for no overtime, rip them off in every possible way. So it was just a cycle of ridiculous abuse, and it just harmed Canadians. It harms Canadians because rents go through the roof. Rents go sky high because there's no way to absorb this many people. There's no way to absorb this many people, particularly in a healthcare system, so that every emergency ward in every major city turned into the seventh circle of hell because it's just completely overwhelmed by the insanity of this massive population increase. It harmed Canadians in terms of wreaking havoc in the economy because we know today there's no summer jobs for kids. It's down 24% from previous years. Like what? I mean, like we have so many ways we abuse young people in Canada. So we're going to abuse them some more with no summer jobs. Okay. There's no end to this. There's no end to this. But I want you to contrast this simple idea here about immigration. What if the same thing had happened in the USA? What if in the United States of America, 31 million new Americans showed up. 31 million new people in America. Now, some like Trumpers will tell you, well, yeah, that probably did happen. No, it did not happen. I assure you it didn't happen in any way, shape, or form. But if it had happened, I guarantee you there would have been an armed insurrection in the United States. Like, seriously, it would have been a revolution. Like, if governments in the United States allowed 31 million people to come in from other countries in a 3-year period, by the middle of the 15th month, there would be armed insurrection in the streets. That's just reality. And yet we did it in Canada. We're peaceful people. We don't have 3 guns in every house. So not the same results, but we still had a terrible, terrible result. So what's the answer? Is there an answer? Of course there's an answer. The answer is many immigrants must return because the temporary worker thing doesn't work out. The student thing is just a ridiculous nonsense, and most of those folks will have to go back. And they are going back. The population growth is probably at zero right now. So we have to maintain zero. The correct answer to this aberrant population growth is zero growth for a number of years, for 2-3 years. Like it's just necessary to rebalance. You have to find ways to take the stressors out that were caused by this crazy policy decision. By the way, let's let some great people in. Let's let medical doctors, scientists, healthcare workers, fully trained healthcare workers, science geniuses. Let's bring in the best of the best. But maybe we even have to stop the refugee stuff. I mean, we just have to get costs under control. We have to get population growth, but we have to get those costs under control. Remember, people, there's all kinds of countries in the world, like more countries in the world don't allow any refugees than let refugees in. In the Middle East, the countries that surround Gaza don't allow any refugees from Gaza. Not one, none. Okay. So China is one of the biggest industrial powers in the world. No refugees come to China, like zero, none. Okay. So maybe we just need to pause. I'm not talking about no refugees forever. I'm talking about we have to pause. We have to pause and we have to rethink and reshuffle our resources to get to the point where we can take immigration again. I'm all for immigration. Hey, look, in the last 10 years, all of the health care that my family has received, critical health care, has been from people who were not born here. They are the children of people who were not born here. Yes, the people who are fixing us, the people who are helping us, the people who are saving our lives are either born in another country or their parents were born in another country. Think about that. Think carefully about that. The CEO, I believe this is true, the CEO of the second biggest bank in Canada, TD Bank, Raymond Chun. I don't believe Raymond was born here. I've met him. Super good guy. And he's going to be a dynamic, effective, and highly successful CEO for TD Bank. His family's from Korea. Look, immigration is one of the greatest things this country's ever got to offer. The foolishness of what we did for the 3 years that we brought in 3 million people simply has to be corrected. And then we can go back to the brilliant point system that was the envy of the world and have a rational level of immigration. That's what we need to do.